Good morning, everybody. How are you all? I just thought I would say hello to everybody. Really fabulous to have you all here. I do enjoy my last Wednesday of the month where I pretend I'm leaving the house. So, absolutely fabulous to have you all here. And I hope everybody is doing okay and keeping your sanity through what we hope is going to be that last final struggle until we get back to normal. Fingers and toes crossed, because can you just imagine that first plane trip? It's just going to be amazing. So anyway, thank you for your time to learn about everything Southern. I'm going to get started on our presentation. My name is Penny Brand. I am your Travel South account manager based here out of Sydney. And as you all know, there is just so much to see, do, explore in the South that we've had to start a whole series on it. First, we looked at the Southern cuisine, then we went out and visited the national parks and seashore, and then we heard all about the music that grew from the South, ate barbecue, and learnt more about the civil rights movement. And the monthly series, The Authentic South, has still got plenty left to explore. We'll be visiting West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Missouri in the rest of our series, and they do take place at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the last Wednesday of every month. So keep an eye out on those inboxes to register. Each episode, we will be giving away that $100 Prezi voucher. And also at the end of the series, we're going to be giving away a $200 hamper. So for September, we'll be heading to West Virginia to look at adventure, adrenaline, with a focus on Bridge Day, where hundreds of base jumpers throw themselves off the bridge into the New River Gorge. So something quite exciting there for everybody. But today we are going to look into the highways and byways of the South. So what's the difference? Well, the main point of difference is that a highway is usually wider and used to travel between two cities. And the byways are small little wandering paths with stunning scenery or historic points of interest. So our first stop today, we are going to Missouri. And let's start with one of America's most iconic trips, Route 66. It opened in 1926 as a route linking rural communities with large cities across the country, stretching from Santa Monica to Chicago. Attractions and businesses sprang up along the road to serve travelers, and the quintessential American road trip was born. But Route 66 is no longer an official highway, but road trippers and pop culture fans haven't forgotten this cultural icon. Missouri is home to more than 450 kilometres of the Mother Road and features some of the route's most historic tourist attractions. Scenic overlooks, vintage motor cars, and nostalgic memorabilia on this bucket list adventure along Missouri's scenic Route 66. You can spend a few days to explore the capital, St. Louis, and then go to Cuba, Springfield, and Joplin before heading on into Arkansas. And this is where we'll journey along the Great River Road, and it's marked by green and white highway signs depicting a steamboat's pilot wheel. The Great River Road runs through 10 states along the Mississippi River, from Minnesota right up in the north to the Gulf of Mexico. It's been designated a National Scenic Byway in 2002, and Arkansas's portion of the route crosses the east side of the state from north to south. The route traverses parts of the nation's largest river plain, Crowley's Ridge. allowing travellers to experience both the mighty river and its legacy of shaping the landscape and lives along its path. A trip along the Great River Road National Scenic Byway is a getaway that immerses visitors in art, culture, history, unique food, and lots more. And now we are heading to the East Tennessee Crossing Byway. This route follows the path of the Cherokee warriors, the Wilderness Road across the Clinch Mountains and the Cumberland Gap, the Dixie Highway and the landscape of the Civil War period and Thunder Road of moonshining lore. Definitely something to taste when you're going along that little journey. The landscape, it's dramatic, accessible, with mountain vistas, river valleys, lakeside drives, farming landscapes, hills, and historic villages, all available along the beautiful East Tennessee crossing. Then it's north into Kentucky to the Red River Gorge, one of the nation's special natural areas. It offers stone arches, caves, cliffs, ravines, and waterfall. It's been designated a national natural landmark and a national wild and scenic river. And the landscape of this part of Kentucky is really spectacular. And the Red River Gorge is world renowned for rock climbing and rappelling, and is one of the top destinations for these activities in the USA. And next, we are going to head to West Virginia to explore the Coal Heritage Trail, where you wind through mountains and valleys, showcasing America's remarkable industrial heritage. And the region really commemorates the history and culture of the coal industry and the impact that it's had through the West Virginian mountains. And crossing this area, you get to the New River Gorge National Park, where White River Rapids, hundreds of miles of trails and stunning mountain cliffs are just a few of the things that make this area so special. One of the most notable spots is the New River Gorge Bridge. Now, that is a feature in next month's webinar. And if you prefer just to explore on your own, a simple walk along the New River, which is actually the oldest river in the continent of North America, is definitely worth your time. And next, we are going to North Carolina's Outer Banks Scenic Byway. So it's a huge contrast to the mountains that we've just visited. So we're going to visit the beaches and see the ocean from these barrier islands, where you get to enjoy old-time village communities that haven't lost their maritime culture. So you can wrap yourself in this history on the scenic Outer Banks Byway. And it's these beautiful beaches, thriving wildlife preserves, historic towns, and well-known lighthouses that motivates travellers to make plans to come back and visit year after year. So it's centred around this rich village culture, where the Outer Banks Scenic Byway is an escape for time of front porch chats and maritime stories about piracy, war, shipwrecks, and hurricanes. And then we are going to head onto the US Route 17. This is known as the Coastal Highway. It actually runs 16,000 kilometres from Florida all the way up to Virginia. But it's the quiet alternative to the busy highways for travellers heading south. And it actually hugs over 300 kilometres of coast within South Carolina. In some places, it's a little more than a small country road, while in others, it's the main thoroughfare, like in the city of Charleston. And don't forget to stop by the colourful elephants in Hardyville, which is in South Carolina, before crossing into Georgia and then onwards to Alabama, which is our next stop. and it is the Alabama coastal connection on the southern tip, where you can experience the links between the traditions of the Deep South and a more laid-back island lifestyle. And there's thousands of acres of preserved lands all in this area. And so as you journey on the route, you can see the sun sinking into the warm Gulf of Mexico, with a flutter of colourful birds that are migrating, or fishing boats easing from a dock at sunset. So some truly spectacular scenery in southern Alabama. And now we are heading to the road known as the Blues Highway, Highway 61. And it technically starts in the north, just outside of Chicago, passing through St. Louis, then into Memphis, and then on to Mississippi. In the south, there's blue markers that denote this historical, significant music points, and it passes through small Mississippi Delta towns on two-lane highways. And it's a legendary blues highway, is an unforgettable journey with music around every corner. From the birthplace of celebrated artists and vinyl record shops to recording venues and southern culinary delights, every stop has a story to tell. And now, everybody, we are on to the star of today's episode, Louisiana.
Louisiana is full of stories, and there's no better way to see the real Louisiana than along one of our many scenic byways and highways. It truly is your roadmap to the great people, places, and food and stories that make Louisiana so special. So I'm going to turn it over to Charlie Winham, and he's going to tell you what's in store on your next trip along our highways and byways.
We have 19 trails and byways for the public to enjoy. Whether you're a history fan, you love cuisine, or a good Louisiana story and history, we got it covered for you. One area is called the Bayou Teche Byway, and it kind of parallels the Atchafalaya Basin. A lot of folks are not familiar with this fact, but the Atchafalaya Basin is America's largest swamp. It's 1 million acres. It's larger than the Florida Everglades. So there's towns that are along this wonderful byway. New Iberia. I love this city. There's so many different elements to it. Picturesque downtown, which has been named a Great American Main Street Program winner, James Lee Burke. Well, he wrote all his detective novels in the town of New Iberia as the backdrop. So fans of James Lee Burke love coming to New Iberia and seeing the sights. Just outside of New Iberia is Avery Island, and that is the home of Tabasco. That's right, Tabasco is made in Louisiana, and the McElhenney family over 150 years ago first sold their commercial bottle to folks in New Orleans, and the brand has only caught fire ever since. Jungle Gardens is also part of the Tabasco tour that you gotta take. It's a 170-acre bird sanctuary. Now, the McElhenney family was very, very prominent in conservation efforts, and so they created a place called Bird City. And Bird City was created in the early 1900s to protect the snowy egret. Next, let's head to something called the Northup Trail, and it's located in central Louisiana and is very significant in the history of a gentleman named Solomon Northup. Back in the 1800s, this free man of color lived in New York State. He was visiting Washington, D.C. and was kidnapped and taken on a train all the way to New Orleans and was sold as a slave. You may have heard about the movie 12 Years a Slave that won the Best Picture in the Academy Awards in 2013. Well, he wrote that memoir back in the 1800s that then was turned into a book. Part of the Northup Trail is the city of Alexandria, and in downtown Alexandria is the Hotel Bentley that I love. There was a gentleman by the name of Joseph Bentley, and in the late 1800s, early 1900s, he was working the timber mills, and he was a pretty big deal. But one night he needed a place to sleep. He was a little grubby from working outside, and he was pretty much not treated well, let's just say. And he was pretty upset about that fact, to the point of he had the money and he said to himself, I'm gonna build my own hotel and not have any problems anymore. He did. It's this beautiful jewel of the South with high cathedral ceilings in its lobby and foyer. And it also has a rich history pertaining to World War II, because the famous generals of George Patton and Dwight Eisenhower slept there as well. And they have meeting rooms on the first floor where generals, being generals, are going to be talking about future strategies of how to get their troops in the places they need to be to ensure American victory. And that's exactly what they did inside the walls of the Hotel Bentley. Historic US 80 is another stop on the Louisiana Trails and Byways that is fantastic. Located in North Louisiana, has some great southern food in the town of Monroe. Check out, you might bump into him on the streets, a guy by the name of Corey Barr, who was in 2012 the champion on Food Network's show Chopped. He has a great restaurant called Parish. Also in Monroe, have you heard of Duck Dynasty, the big reality TV show a few years back? Well, it was all hatched in Louisiana, in this part of North Louisiana, along the historic US 80 trail. The Robertson family, they have a 10,000 square foot museum with 15 exhibits. So even if you're not a fan of the show, which there are millions of fans of this show, even if you're not, you're going to have a wonderful experience learning more about this family, the Robertson family, who are just icons of North Louisiana. A little insider tip, go to their gift shop. They got all sorts of cool things, including what they're known for, the Duck Command duck calls. And all the ducks will be coming before you know it. Maybe Corey Barr might even cook up a couple for you for dinner. Who knows? Another really neat item on the historic US 80 trail is Poverty Point. What is Poverty Point? It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and there aren't many in the United States. If you go there, you'll learn more about this ancient civilization and this ancient city. Do you like music? Well, the Zydeco Cajun Prairie Trail is for you, because it is full of all of the iconic Louisiana music that most people may not be familiar with. I'm talking about Zydeco music, Cajun music, swamp pop music. A lot of folks all around the world are familiar that New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz, but Louisiana is the birthplace of all these other wonderful musics. And if you hit Ville Platte, well, that is the home of the Louisiana Swamp Pop Museum. Make your way to Mamou, and that is the Cajun music capital of the world, as well as make your way through Opelousas, and you'll enjoy the Zydeco capital of the world.
So we're going to start in the city of Nakedish, the oldest permanent settlement in the Louisiana Purchase territory. It's 300 years old, founded in 1714. It's even older than New Orleans, and we pride ourselves on that. You're going to explore downtown Nakedish, the shopping, the dining. We have historic buildings that have been here longer than most of us can even recall. It is situated along the Cane River Lake, which is about 35 square miles, and includes kayaking and an amphitheater downtown for lots of places to explore. Then we invite our visitors to head downriver and explore the unique culture and the Creole culture of our plantations downriver. You see, Nakedish was founded in 1714 by the French, and they encountered the Native Americans when they got here, and then soon later the Spanish came over. So you in this new world with these foreign countries who are forbidden to communicate with each other or to trade with each other, but they do in order to make a way of life, in order to survive on this frontier. We're gonna head downriver to Melrose Plantation, the heart of the Creole community. That's where Louis Metoyer, a free person of color, created the Melrose Plantation that we know today. And he was a pecan farmer, cotton. And then later, Melrose changes hands and it becomes an artist colony where writers and painters from across the country come and spend their time and learn all about painting and expressing their art here on Cane River. That's where you'll also find the works of Clementine Hunter, a world-renowned African-American folk artist who we are proud to call our own. One day, Clementine decided she saw some paints and a cardboard box on the side and decided to pick up her brush, and she was going to get to town, and she painted and she taught herself how to do that. She is the granddaughter of a former enslaved individuals. She was a cook and sharecropper on Melrose Plantation. And from there, she decided to paint what she saw, what life was like on Cane River. We have something for everyone, so if you're a foodie, listen up. We also have the Nakedish Meat Pie, which is a mixture of beef and pork mixed together, flavored with seasonings and spices, wrapped in a dough pie shell and served up. It's a Creole tradition. It blends our French and our Spanish and our Native American history together, and it's delicious. Lazion's Meat Pie restaurant right there in downtown Natchitoches to get one. For those of you who like outdoor adventure, we have plenty for you to do. From kayaking, canoeing along the Cane River in downtown Natchitoches to hiking and biking the Longleaf Trail, which is part of the Kisatchie National Forest. It features tall, long pine trees that are found nowhere else in the United States. We're extremely proud and have lots for you to explore.
I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the Creole Nature Trail All-American Road. One of only 43 All-American Road designated scenic byways in the U.S., the Creole Nature Trail is an outdoor wonderland. 26 miles of accessible natural Gulf beaches, over 400 bird species spotted each and every year. And it's the marshland. You know all those Louisiana seafood you love? This is their estuary, their nursery, so that you get those shrimp and oysters and crabs. As you explore the Creole Nature Trail All-American Road, you are literally one with nature. There are no cages, there are no feeding times. You will see alligators as they appear in nature. A zen moment being out in nature and experiencing it. So I'd encourage you to begin your Creole Nature Trail journey in the city of Lake Charles and Sulphur, Louisiana. It's a booming metropolitan area. One day you can have this fabulous outdoor experience on the Creole Nature Trail or fishing, and the next day you can be at a casino resort gaming, spas, lazy rivers, marinas, pool bars. It's perfect juxtaposition of both worlds. So in Lake Charles proper, you have two side-by-side casino resorts, Golden Nugget and L'Auberge, literally on the lakefront together. You can walk the free boardwalk between them or take the free trolley. Each of them have their own lazy river, marina, pool bar, 18 holes of championship golf. So yes, 36 holes of championship golf. We have live music most nights of the week and everything from Cajun to Zydeco, country to rock and roll. And for those of you who like the finer things in life, how about ballet and orchestra? Fairs and festivals every day of the week. One of our favorite places to bird is Pivotal Woods Bird and Butterfly Sanctuary. It is the refuge where birds flying from South America literally fly all the way across and fall out into the trees. Butterflies, we also have butterfly migrations. I can be out fishing and all of a sudden the butterflies just come floating across the water because they're migrating as well. With 26 miles of beaches, there are always pelicans, white pelicans, brown pelicans. And one of my personal favorites is the great blue heron. Their wingspan is up to 4 feet long. If you're into horse racing, you absolutely have to visit Delta Downs Racetrack Casino. They do live thoroughbred horse racing, right in the action, have a great meal, have some drinks, enjoy the races, maybe do a little gaming, and make sure you wear your chapeau. We're going to go to some of the local seafood restaurants like Seafood Palace or Steamboat Bill's, maybe Luna Bar and Grill for their Luna tuna, Tia Juanita's, and have a little bit of Tex-Mex barbecue thrown in with that Louisiana seafood. We've told you about Louisiana trails and byways, but we've barely scratched the surface. To learn more, visit our websites and plan to come see us soon. As we say in Louisiana, laissez les bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I don't know what excited me more, seeing all that beautiful wildlife and gorgeous roads, or, eating some of that fabulous Cajun seafood. Yes, it certainly is a great little place to explore. Although, as Aussies and the Kiwis too know, the meat pie is somewhat different to what we are used to. Definitely worth a try though. So don't forget, guys, next month we are heading to West Virginia to explore the adventure and adrenaline sports in the South. It's on the last Wednesday of the month, the 29th at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time or noon in New Zealand. And I'm here based out of Sydney if there is anything that you ever need on the South. I'm sure we're all getting to that point where we're planning and dreaming about our next trip, and it is inching closer and closer when they will be opening those borders again. Until then, if there's anything you need, you can pop me in an email, penny@gate7.com.au, or check out the byways.louisianatravel.com. So a big thank you for coming. We really appreciate your time, and yeah, hang in there. Bye-bye.